Every deer camp has that one loud voice claiming his old standby is still king. But in 2025, the numbers on the meat poll and the ballistics charts tell a different story. Hunters with straight-wall lever guns, fans of big 30-caliber bolt rifles, and those running compact AR-15 rigs with suppressors face the same problem. The game has moved on. Rifles are lighter, barrels are shorter, and a wave of efficient 7mm backcountry rounds is changing what enough gun means past the tree line. If you keep buying on nostalgia or marketing alone, you can burn your budget on ammo and glass and still show up undergunned when the wind picks up at 300 yards. Today, I am breaking down the deer cartridges that fit 2025 reality and crowning the one-topping camp talk this year. All right, before we start throwing cartridges at each other in the comments, let's put some structure on this thing. When I say a caliber is topping deer camp in 2025, I'm not just talking about a hot new ad campaign or some crazy velocity number on the side of a box. I'm talking about what hunters are actually dragging back to the skinning pole, what rifles you see piled in the back of a side-by-side, and which ammo stacks disappear first when deer season opens. The old debate was simple: 270, 30-06, and maybe a Magnum if you felt fancy. Now we have suppressors, 18-inch barrels, straight-wall laws in half the Midwest, and high BC bullets that stay lethal well past where most of us should be shooting. Rifles are lighter, ranges are longer, and many good enough cartridges look tired. More folks want one rifle to cover everything from tight timber stands to open beanfields. Here's how I put this list together. Recoil and shootability count. Real-world range counts. Rifle choices count. And yep, price and availability count too. In the number 4 spot, we are down in the timber with the straight-wall hammer that dragged lever guns back into the spotlight. 360 Buckhammer. If you hunt in a state that forces you to use straight-wall cartridges, you already know the pain. For years, it was 4570 nostalgia or trying to make 350 legend do everything. 360 Buckhammer slides right in the middle. It gives you old-school lever gun handling with ballistics that finally makes sense past the edge of the food plot. Out of a handy lever gun, the usual 180-grain core lock-tipped load scoots along at about 400 feet per second and packs over 300 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. In plain terms, zero it at 100 yards and you're good to go out to 150 with just a little holdover at 200. It hits like the classic Woods rounds but doesn't run out of steam when you step into the open. The real magic is in the platform. Drop 360 Buckhammer into a modern Marlin 336 or one of the new Henry lever guns, and you get that slick, fast cycling action everyone loves in a stand or blind. An 18 or 20-inch barrel lets you snake around tree branches and railings, and the recoil is more of a firm shove than a punch in the teeth. It's still a straight wall, so it keeps the game wardens happy in the Midwest, but it puts you a step ahead of classic 30-30 style energy. Ammo isn't bargain bin cheap, but it's popping up in more shops, and you're getting real deer loads, not just plinking stuff. If your season is all about still hunting ridges, sneaking through cutovers, and making 75 to 150-yard shots at whitetails, this is the quiet guy in camp who just keeps stacking deer while everyone else argues about twist rates and ballistic coefficients. In that world, 360 Buckhammer is about as close to perfect as it gets. For number 3, swing the camera the other direction and talk about the sleeper that hunts way bigger than it looks. 22 artillery on paper. A little 22 caliber deer round sounds like trouble waiting to happen. In the real world, with good bullets and smart limits on distance, it is starting to win over a lot of AR-15 guys who were tired of pretending 223 Remington was good enough for bigger game. This cartridge was built from the ground up to push heavy, sleek bullets out of the same rifles a ton of us already own. With the 80-grain ELD-X hunting load, you're looking at about 3,000 feet per second and around 1,600 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. The high BC keeps that bullet packing punch out to about 200 yards or so, as long as you do your job with shot placement. This isn't a send it at 400 yards and cross your fingers round. It's a stay in your lane and let modern bullet design shine kind of deal. Where 22 ARC really shines is how it feels on the shoulder. In a light AR-15 with a suppressor and a decent stock, recoil is basically a firm push. That means new shooters, smaller framed hunters, and anybody who hates getting beat up at the bench can still practice enough to be dangerous in a good way. Follow-up shots are fast, the rifles stay light, and you can run the same setup for coyotes, hogs, and whitetails without switching to a heavy bolt gun. Ammo costs more than the cheap 5.56 you burn on steel, but you're paying for real hunting performance, not just bulk range fodder. Some states give the green light to 22 centerfire for deer. Others want 243 or bigger. So check your regs before you plan your season. If your deer camp has that guy who always rolls in with an AR and gets the side-eye from the bolt gun crew, 22 ARC is his chance to quiet the crowd with clean kills and tight groups on steel. Rolling into number 2, we land on the Western workhorse that already changed how a lot of folks think about enough gun at distance 7mm PRC. This one is built for wide-open country, long beans, and guys who think in dope cards instead of Kentucky windage. Instead of hot-rodding an old case, it was designed from the ground up to launch heavy, high BC bullets at sensible pressures with modern powder and chamber design. Take the 175-grain ELD-X load as your baseline. You're looking at about 3,000 feet per second at the muzzle and around 300-400 foot-pounds of energy. 0 at 200 yards, and you get a flat meat shoot, no drama trajectory out to 300, with plenty of punch left well past where most folks should be shooting at game. The point isn't to brag about wild yardage. It's to give yourself a big margin for error when the wind picks up or that buck takes one more step than you planned. Recoil-wise, 7mm PRC is stout but civilized. In a well-designed hunting rifle with a good pad and a brake or suppressor, it feels more like a serious shove than a violent slap. A lot of factory guns are shipping with threaded 22 to 24-inch barrels, sensible overall weight, and stocks that let you actually manage recoil instead of just surviving it. You get that long-range capability without carrying a 10-pound rig through coulees all day. The other big draw is how easy it is to buy into. Everybody from budget brands up to semi-custom shops is chambering 7mm PRC now, and the ammo shelf looks better than it did when it first launched. You are not stuck with one boutique load. There are hunting bullets, match bullets, and different price points, so you can actually afford to practice. It basically took the spot that the 7mm Remington Magnum and 300 Win Mag used to hold and modernized it. This is the round for the guy in camp who lives to glass, hike, and set up for big shots. If your idea of deer hunting is sitting on a field edge watching the sun crawl across 400 yards of nothing, 7mm PRC is the tool that turns that nothing into a real shot. Finally, in the number 1 slot. If 7mm PRC is the established king of the long-range hill, the cartridge that is causing the real buzz around the truck this year is 7mm Backcountry. This thing is weird in the right ways. Instead of messing with a bigger case, Federal went with a strong peak alloy steel case that lets them safely run pressures up around 80,000 psi. That opens the door to Magnum-class speeds out of shorter barrels without turning your rifle into a boat anchor. You can run a 20-inch shorter suppressor-ready mountain rifle that still launches a heavy 7mm hunting bullet at speeds that used to need a big Magnum. Less barrel, less weight, same basic trajectory. For hunters climbing ridges, sneaking through thick cover, or just trying to get in and out of a ladder stand without banging into everything. That's a game changer. The rifle feels quick, points fast, and still packs real authority when that buck finally steps into your only shooting lane of the morning. Does it kick? Yeah, it is still a serious 7mm. But stocks, better recoil pads, and the ability to hang a can on the end mean it is absolutely shootable. You are trading more bark for more reach in a handier package. On top of that, you are buying into a cartridge that was built for this world of suppressors, shorter barrels, and hunters who want to train instead of just verifying 0 the day before season. There are trade-offs. Right now, 7mm Backcountry ammo is premium priced, and you're not going to scoop up a pile of once-fired brass to reload on Sunday afternoon. Steel cases mean you're trusting the factory to keep you fed, at least for now. This is a better fit for the hunter who buys a couple boxes a year and wants max performance from one rig, not the guy who burns through barrels on steel every weekend. In 2025, 7mm Backcountry is the round that gets passed around the fire, the one everybody wants to shoulder and dry fire. It is not the cheapest, and it is not the easiest to find yet, but it is the cartridge that best matches where modern deer rifles are actually headed, and the reason it sits at the top of this list. So, that is our spread. A straight-wall round that keeps lever guns alive in the timber. A 22 that lets the AR crowd show up truly serious. A long-range 7mm for the field edges, and a high-pressure 7mm built around suppressed rifles. Which camp are you in? All right, y'all. That wraps up our 2025 deer camp caliber war. Any of these rounds will kill a buck clean if you do your job, but 7mm Backcountry is the one rewriting what a short, suppressed rifle can do. Drop your camp setup below, and I'll see you next time.